Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm here aligned with my mission, determined, settled on before I incarnated. If you don't believe in past lives, don't click off. You need information to make good decisions, especially when we're changing a cycle on the planet, especially since we left the age of information, we're in the age of transformation. The fact that your belief system doesn't incorporate a lot of what I say only mainly means that you weren't taught these things. They weren't part of your paradigm. But the old paradigm has collapsed, which doesn't automatically mean that everything that I'm saying is accurate, correct, and you should buy into it. But you should listen. Don't click off. Today, I wanted to talk about part of what the new paradigm is about, which is superpowers. Apparently, no, not apparently. I have to totally accept it that that is the case. That this is a planet that has been supervised by a group of beings. Some people call it the Great White Federation. The name doesn't matter. There are beings that have made decisions for this planet. One of the decisions was that this planet be a planet of free will, that we would be able to choose between light and dark. And supposedly, and I don't like to accept this next statement I'm making because it's too much responsibility for us, but apparently, however this planet goes, planet Earth, it's going to take with it a whole series of other planets in this section of the universe. Sounds like Star Wars. But darn, a lot of the stuff in Star Wars is turning out to be accurate and true. So leave it out there the same way I do. Okay, information. Apparently, throughout history, um, human beings have had superpowers. We are required in school to learn about mythology. Now, if though that part, those stories are not accurate, why do we have to learn about it? Why? It doesn't make any sense. To make us upset that we don't have superpowers? Just a story? Since when do we tell just stories, but don't believe it? It's just a story, don't believe it. We have had superpowers several times on this planet. How many? I have no idea. What are the dates? I have no idea. Certainly do not look to archaeologists and scientists for dates. They don't seem to be getting very much correct lately, do they? All this new stuff that keeps coming up that they would like to deny because it makes them look like old hat or like they didn't get it right. So we don't need to go into that. Apparently, we were scheduled at this time in human history to have our superpowers available to us. And I've said this a couple of times, so some of you may already know this. We were scheduled to have superpowers available to us again in the early 60s. But there's a problem in that in the 40s, from what I understand, the Second World War was over. We decided to experiment with some bombs, and we threw some bombs on cities that had basically already given up. They didn't need to be bombed, but we needed to see how the bombs functioned. Well, apparently, the people that supervise this planet looked at that and went, you know what? I don't think these people are ready for superpowers. And I think they were right. So, superpowers are in our third eye, and they are in a gland that has yet to be discovered, which is called the mimosa gland. I named it with the help of my masters, and it eventually will get discovered. But regardless, in the last year and a half, 2 years, superpowers are available to us. But we don't know, and we don't have any practice. And what is it going to look like? So magic and miracles can happen much more easily because those are all have to do with superpowers. In the movement that I am part of, the Mantrista movement, we 2 or 3 years ago we started to work with Venezuela, and one of our spirit guides are the dolphins, whom the Greeks considered gods, and they absolutely are. And they said that they would work to give us superpowers. And I was like, oh my God, please don't make me say that. That sounds so silly. But I am very true to my understanding that when I get psychic information, I have to say it. I may not be in agreement with it, but that's a lot of my most fabulous information when I'm saying it and sharing it and I got it. I'm not comfortable saying it. I'm a very conservative person, believe it or not. I'm a Cancer, all about mother, children, leave things the way they are. Let's all hang out together. We don't need to expand. And then I'm born into a situation which I chose of mind expansion, human potential. So it's kind of like a little battle within me. So, anyway, so our superpowers are in our third eye. Oh, gee, authorities don't want our third eye to be clean. They feed us food, stuff in our toothpaste that basically cancels out third eye and superpowers. As I've said before, science found that we have cells in our forehead that are cells from the eyes. And so they went, well, gee, maybe humans had an eye in the forehead. Well, that's part of mythology. Oh, no, but mythology is just a story. Just a story. We've been fed a lot of stories and we've been denied a lot of history. Okay, so why am I talking about it now? Because it's available. Okay, what do we do with it? How is it? Where is it? What do we do? And so today, all of you know that I watch Elon Musk very carefully because I admire him. I like what he's doing. I like his attitude. He, by the way, I believe is a Cancer astrologically, which means he's about family and he's about love and home, and yet he doesn't have a home. He lives in different places, and that has a lot to do with circumstances. But a lot of us do things that are not our nature in order to be able to move forward in terms of our mission. So when I decided to talk about superpowers, which I'm talking about more and more, but first I'm going to tell you why I'm talking more about superpowers. I discovered that human beings have implants, like the movie The Matrix. I saw the movie, didn't particularly care for it. It was a movie that moved the planet. People loved it. Oh my God, they still quote it. This is 30 years later. Saying important stuff because if not, my nose would not be bothering me. Um, so, and I'll start scratching my head in a few minutes. So, we have implants. We don't just have an implant in the back of the neck. We have dozens of implants, which are basically hoses that are stuck in us and that are channeling energy that's not our choice. And of course, the first one that we found was in the back of the liver. And I understood there was something in the liver when one of the times I saw the image of Jesus Christ on the cross and I saw that the lance had pierced his liver. Well, everything on the cross is a symbolic of something that human beings need to understand. So I went, so what is it with the liver that Jesus Christ was trying to tell us? I'm not Christian or Catholic, but my instincts are very good, which basically is psychic abilities. Okay, so when we looked, we saw that the liver has an opening in the back and there's a hose stuck into it, a channel from Orion, which is the planet that created havoc on planet Earth and the wars and the whole nine yards. So in the back of the liver, we're getting channeled the energies of fighting and war and killings and paranoia. So I went, wow, we have an implant. And then I realized, oh my God, that's what the movie Matrix was talking about. Fine. We don't have an implant. We have many, 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 many implants. So, and I'm removing them. I cut them, and there's a specific process. You can learn to do it too. If you cannot really see, if your third eye is not developed, it's going to be hard for you to do it. But I would like for everybody to learn to do it because there's no way to get a grip on ourselves unless we get these cut, and then we can be who we are, what we intend, with that funneling in of different energies, none of which is positive. We can't possibly easily or gracefully stay aligned with what our true intentions are. So I have set up some classes. I'm not trying to sell you anything, where I do cut them and I'm able to do hundreds of people at a time because that was my intention 30 years ago when I saw a guru heal 500 people at a time. Not because he said it, but because I could see that he had a spirit of his next to 500 people. I said, oh my God, I want to do that. And you know what? Lo and behold, I can do it now. Okay. So we have these implants that stop us. Um, and one of my followers gave me a document written by a group. And in it, it says that it's talking about implants because there's many different implants. The ones that I am taking care of are like a hose. There's another type of implant that looks like a CD, like the vinyl records. It's just flat, except it's metallic and gray. And they put it in to your center axis. It stops the flow of energy. Your kundalini cannot rise. And a lot of people know how to remove those. It's not the ones that I'm talking about right now, but it is an implant. So I was sent a document in which somebody uh, had information from somebody from off planet, and it was explaining the why of the implants. And what it said, and I believe this, I will have the document up tomorrow so that you'll be able to see it. It's in Spanish. You throw it into Google Translate. I did because English is easier for me, and you'll be able to read it. They have a process there that takes like 21 days. It's very long. It's very extended. It's easier for me to just do it myself, or I think for most people, just pay me the $10 and get me to cut it. But I didn't try it. So all of you should try it. Basically, somebody asked the person, what's this with the implants? Why? And what they said was that when the powers that be, the galactic powers that be, were determining the rules of human beings coming to planet Earth. We didn't start here. We came from someplace else. This whole ET conversation is ridiculous, but that's okay. That there was an agreement that there would be free will, but there would also be implants. Somebody was screaming this afternoon, that's not free will. Yeah, it is free will. You can choose whatever you want, except that these implants change you. They influence you dramatically. But that is what that is all about. It was an agreement having to do with how life was set up on planet Earth. Okay. So we have all of these implants that stop us. It doesn't stop us. It influences us, and most of the time stops us from achieving intentions or being able to do things gracefully. So here we are at end times, because this is end times. This cycle on the planet is ending, and everybody, even if they don't believe in all of this metaphysical stuff, agree there's something that's ending, and it's going to not end so gracefully. Maybe it'll end more gracefully than we think for a lot of people. So back to the superpowers. We didn't get superpowers in the 60s. We had the Flower Child movement, and that was truncated by the government. We had LSD introduced to the population in the colleges as an experiment, and the LSD worked. What did the LSD do? It opened people up to the other dimensions. You know, I talked about that yesterday. People that take LSD have expanded minds. You are much more expansive than what you think. You're just not in contact with those other dimensions, and LSD takes you there. I'm not recommending LSD. So anybody who says she's recommending LSD, I am not recommending it. You can achieve that same thing. It takes longer, but it's much more graceful with cannabis. But I'm Cancer, a mother. It's too violent. The LSD, you don't know. Some people can have a bad drug trip. The ayahuasca really works. I'm not recommending it either. But I'm conservative. You need to do whatever it is that you want to do. So here we are, end times, superpowers available. Most people don't know it. They're running around moaning and complaining and lashing out at the people that put them down, put us down, whatever. And then we all watch Elon Musk. Why would you not watch him? My God, it's like a movie. It's great. For people like me, it's great. So I decided, being it that I might not be I might not be able to assess it correctly, because I actually even like the man a lot as a person. So I asked the dolphins to talk to me about Elon Musk. So I'm going to read you now what they say. And then we're going to go ahead and go back to the mantra about mission, because it's all about End times, superpowers, and mission. Let me read you what the dolphins said. Give me a second. I said, dolphins talk about Elon, superheroes, and superpowers. And this is their response. Elon is a gift to mankind, but he is here not only to introduce new technology, but to support technology with ethics that supports human happiness and well being. He is a living example of being on mission, but prosperous, which is different from previous spiritual leaders who were traditionally poor. This stance of loving people is a novel stance for people in power, especially because it's legitimate. He is a wonderful example of what the future can be for young people, achieving their mission to help humanity without having to live from handouts or like Jesus lived, born in a manger and ultimately hung on a cross. Isn't that beautiful? Superpowers. You can have superpowers. You have to get out of your own head, even though it's located in the third eye, which is your head. You have to get out of what it is that you were taught. You have to be aligned with what's supported, community, helping other people, truth. And there was a line there that said it legitimately wants to help other people because everybody who's a politician, they want to help their people. How come that gets truncated so quick for most of them? Because yes, it was an intention, but it was an intention amongst other intentions. It wasn't like a bottom line intention. So if you can wrap your head around that and then also release the old training and the old teachings, you can achieve that. Because you see, before, every power was hierarchy, triangle. One person, two people at the top, and then a group underneath supporting them, and then another group supporting everybody up there, and then the people at the bottom support. That's not the case. So you say, well, yeah, but how many people can be like him? Actually, in the new world, everybody can be like him. But you have to be fully intended, having to do with what is being supported now. So it was a nice statement from the dolphins, very simple, because the truth is very simple. If you have to make several statements and several paragraphs to explain something or an entire book, then you probably didn't get it. Because the truth is always very, very simple. One more thing about him, and then we'll get into us. He is taking us kicking and screaming into where we're going anyway. And I'm only going to go into one example of that, which is Neuralink, which is scary. Scary. What? Attached to a machine? What? I'm a cancer. No, no attaching to any machine. Get that kid away from that machine. And then some of you know the story. About 6 months ago, with the Mantristas, we did a session in which we went to a huge spaceship that was positioned over the pyramids in Egypt. Yes, you can do that. Everybody can do that. It's your belief system that's stopping you. Can't help you with that. Yes, his birth date is in 2 days, and mine is the next day. It's something. Cancer. Okay, so we went to the spaceship, and I said, let's just go inside and talk to whoever. By the way, the original language of the planet is telepathy. It's not language. And even in the Bible, it said that people were trying to reach God. They wanted to be superpowers, superheroes, gods. And then God said, and they cut down that tower, and then they made language, and everybody couldn't talk to each other. The original language is telepathy. So anyway, we're going into the spaceship, a group of people. Yes, I know, 300 and some people. How many of those actually were able to speak telepathically? I don't know, but plenty of them because of the comments that they made. And we don't try to compare, okay, with each other. It's just a question of whatever it is we're doing, I'm saying it, and people just kind of hop on to that vibration. Me and several others that are really good in the group, we're kind of opening up like a little trail to that vibration, to that dimension, whatever. So I ended up talking to an alien on that spaceship. And I don't remember if I asked him the question, but he said, I don't know if I asked something about the spaceship. He said, this spaceship is an extension of my mind. Okay, I can deal with that. That's okay. I didn't say that obviously. And then he said, it's just like Elon Musk's Neuralink. And I went, wow, I get it. So these beings that know so much more than we know, and that we are going to be mixing with them because we're being, the very dramatic statement is we're becoming part of the galactic family. Sounds like such drama. They do that. So what are we going to do? Get together with them and we're going to be running around making things physically, everything, and controlling everything physically through Wi-Fi and 5G when they don't have to do that? We're going to stay here because our belief system we can't deal with that. I couldn't deal with it. And they're all the way over here. And it's our belief system that stops us. So that really stopped me in my tracks. I kind of knew that was where we're going, and Elon is promoting it, and I know what his intentions are, so it's kind of okay, but it was still like, no, take me dragging my feet. But the minute that being said that, the spaceship is an extension of my mind, just like Elon Musk's Neuralink. And I didn't talk about Elon Musk with the ET. I didn't bring up the subject. Maybe he knew that I needed to understand that. So Elon is taking us, some of us kicking and screaming, others squirming, others like, I'm not going there. And others, I want to be at the front of that train because I have a broken back and I can't walk. So you can be a superhero and you can have superpowers. They're available today. And it is your belief system that is not allowing you to access what is inside of you and what is now available, because it wasn't before. It was not before. What are superpowers? Well, look at all the movies and the TV shows and what what the kids are into. And look how slow we are when we don't have superpowers, how we live. You want to get this object, my lipstick, from there to here? I got to pick it up. Yeah. That's not superpowers. That's the way humans live today. Very draggy, the physical dimension. Very draggy. Now, this is one thing I have to say to Elon Musk, if he ever sees this. Very draggy. Trying to get out there to Mars using physical objects without the help of other dimensional stuff. Very draggy. So, my thought. Okay, so mission. You're not going to get superpowers, or you're not going to get what it is that you want. You're not going to get support from the other dimensions in terms of power, okay, unless you're aligned with what is supported today, which is community, caring for other people, being able to work with other people. So read up about the age of Aquarius. By the way, the age of Aquarius includes an incredible augmentation of mental illness, which we're seeing today. And nobody has associated it, other than me, to my knowledge, the rise in mental illness with the excess of radiation that is not balanced out by the elements, nature, That's another story. So mission, you can't go and get a job. You can, and you should. You should, because somebody has to pay the rent, because we're not being able to do it mentally yet. But you need to intend to work on something that you love and that's good for humanity. And so if you love something, there is, I'm sure, an angle of it that would be good for the rest of humanity, not just for you. If it's just for you, you're not going to be able to achieve this level. So you go, no, there's only one Elon Musk. No, there's not only one Elon Musk. There can be many. But you have to ride that type of a wave. It's not a coincidence that he has that much money and that he's that good a person and that the principles, which are not principles, it's him, what he puts into the objects that he makes, the technology. I have a Tesla. I've had cars my whole life. When I was poor, I had poor cars. And when I was okay, I had okay cars. And then when I became well to do, I had nice cars. Couldn't care less about my cars. And people would say, oh, you have a pilot, you have a Mercedes. Oh, yeah. I remember my husband went one day, we had, I don't know, some Toyota, whatever. And my employees said, Francis, you need a better car. I mean, you're an important person. You need a better car. So my husband said, oh, okay, yeah, a better car. So he drove away in my Toyota and he came to my place of business and said, come on out. I'm going to show you the car. I couldn't care less about cars. So I come out and I look at it and he had the salesman with him. He said, what do you think? And I said, oh, it looks nice, but it doesn't look like a Toyota. The salesman, I thought he was going to explode. And my husband said, it's not a Toyota, it's a Mercedes. I went, oh, see, I told you, it doesn't look like a Toyota. Anyway, I got the Mercedes, which, by the way, I paid for, not him. It was interesting, very telling. So I get me my Tesla. I love my Tesla. It has a dog mode. That's sweet. Elon's love is in every inch of that car. His level of technological expertise is in every inch of the car. But the technology, I couldn't care less about. But I do care about the feeling I have. I've never liked a car. It's been like, okay, it drives, it's fine. I don't have to do anything, it's fine. Other people think it's great. Oh, okay, no problem. It's in every inch of the car. It transfers from him into what he does. So what you do transfers into everything you do, which, by the way, if you do something and you love it and then you fall out of love with it, not going to go so well. Not going to go so well. It will go ching. So now I'm going to say one more story because it's important. I used to own a bridal salon. We started with one dress on the mannequin, and people would walk in and say, oh, I want to try some dresses. And I would say, okay, help me out. Hold the arm of the mannequin. And they were like, what? We only had one dress. It was on the mannequin. I had to take it off the mannequin. They had to hold the arm of the mannequin because you take the arm off to pull the dress off. Then we ended up with a really big couture bridal salon. We didn't have to take the merchandise off the mannequin. But in the previous years when we were still, I'm not going to say poor as church mice, but we certainly didn't have a couture store. We had dresses and we would order from a designer, and the dresses would sit there, and then one dress would be, oh my God, everybody loved it, and we would take a lot of orders. And then one day that dress would stop selling. And my mother was the one who said this. She said something changed on the dress. She said it must be the horoscope of the dress. I'm not even sure she believed in astrology. And what I found, because I watched, because that I'm an observer through the years, was the problem that when the dress, we got it, the designer was in love with his business, with his designs, not particularly that dress, but that collection and what he was doing. And that same dress, if the designer ended up having problems in his marriage and his business, or just was tired of the business, that dress was no longer infused with the designer's love. And the sales would, I mean, it was like falling off the edge of a cliff. So you can love something when you fall out of love with it. You need to start working on the next thing because you're not going to be able to keep it going the way it used to be. So we're going to go now into the mantra on aligning with your miraculously prosperous mission. We did it yesterday. It's, as I tell you, the mantra that is the most, that settles you down the quickest. It's like you go, oh, okay, okay. I can keep doing, I can keep washing dishes or whatever it is that I'm doing because there's this feeling of it's going to happen. And you can say, but I don't know what I want. No, you don't need to know what you want. And that's the great thing about intentions. And that's the great thing about the mantras. You don't need to know the specifics. You just need to tell God or the universe or whoever it is, I want to align with my miraculously prosperous mission. Now, before I didn't have the word prosperous, I just to align with my mission, and people were happy. Then I put prosperous. Why do we have to be poor? We don't have to be poor any longer to be on mission. Before, Jesus Christ lived on handouts. He was born in a manger, which, by the way, is not such a bad thing because that's a very natural setting with animals, but people don't see that. And he died on a cross. Oh, but he was spiritual. You can have that level of spirituality and be incredibly wealthy today because it's a new era. It's the beginning of a new era. But you have to love what you do. And you're only going to love it if that was the reason why you were born. Oh, but I don't know why I was born. You don't need to know it. Just do this mantra, which is what we're going to do now. Okay? Give me a second. Let me pull it up. And interesting. Very interesting. Implants and free will. We already did that. Here it is. So, Elon, you cannot fall out of love with Tesla because I plan on buying another Tesla. Okay. You can't get so busy that you can no longer energize what you have. I know the stuff in outer space is like really, 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 really exciting. Honestly, really exciting. But you have to remember those of us that have a vested interest in what you've already produced. This does not have that word. Let's see if this is correct. So I do believe that Elon Musk is an example of what we can all be, even starting today. He is a superhero and he has superpowers because in his core, he reflects and is what will be supported by this new energy, which is why so many people that have been wealthy and countries that have been wealthy are going to go down the tubes because they're not in love with what they do. And the intentions behind what they produced or what they do are not intentions that are aligned with the age of Aquarius. So you look up the age of Aquarius and you pay attention. And if you do the mantra, if this desire to help others is deeply buried in you and you are not in contact with it, don't worry. It will be drawn up to the surface. Okay? And you do not have to be poor. And Elon Musk, is a prime example. If you determine that the most important thing is to be as wealthy as he is, it's not going to happen because that's not the priority. You can reach that, but you can only reach that if you have energized what it is that created that level of wealth. Okay, so no, I put in a word that should not be there. So you just have to be patient with me while I fix this. Because I cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. Other people can, but I can't. And I moved the word miraculous from miraculously aligned to align with my miraculously prosperous mission. Okay? So cancel the thought that only certain people or a small number of people can achieve that level. Cancel that because it's not the same age on planet Earth. This is a different time. There, I got it correctly. Okay. So let's get the music and let's do 10 minutes. Okay? I've got some dog is crying. I likely Hmm. I'm going to do one for the second chakra, which is the that's I'm not sure that was the best music, but it was good. Okay, so let me show you what you look like listening to this music and after my little whatever. You got the three pyramids of protection, which I know you didn't come in with. We're still not achieving that one eye, the integration of the two eyes and the third eye. It's been like a couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on there. The mind strings are Nile green. The feet are green, which means healing, and the root chakra is green, which I've not sketched before here. Both of these have to do with the fact that maybe a lot of you, or at least enough of you, somehow feel more optimistic about your future, having to do with your profession, how you earn an income, your mission. When you are aligned with your mission, what you do is like playing. I love what I do. There's a lot of things involved that I don't love that I really need to farm out or to hire people to do. I'm not real good at that. Um, but I remember many years ago, a friend of mine went with me to the Miami Seaquarium to talk to the dolphins. And he said, ask them about work. And I said, ask him, what about work? He said, about why do we have to work as human beings? And so I asked him, I said, he wants to know why people have to work. He resented working. He was an artist. He was really good. And what they responded was, "You're not supposed to be working." So I said, "The dolphins say you're not supposed to be working." And he went, "Yeah, sure. And who's going to pay my bills?" So I went back and I went back just means I turned around and I said, "Who's going to pay the bills?" And they said, "No, no. You're supposed to love what you're doing so much that it's not work. It's like play." And I told my friend that. And of course, he did not believe it for a second because he's the type that thinks that we were always going to have to get this pencil, so the lipstick, and move it from there to there and go like this. That's the way it's always going to be. There. It's not going to be any change. And that's just the way it is. And if you're going to earn money, then that means you have to work hard. And what the dolphins were saying is something that I actually have proved because I earn the most when I love what I'm doing, which I did for many years at my business. And then I stopped loving it and I almost went bankrupt. I wasn't energizing it anymore. And I love what I'm doing now under very trying circumstances because you see the powers that be do not want you to know about these new energies and superpowers. That's why they stuff everything that we put into our bodies with stuff that puts to sleep the part of us that's scheduled to wake up now. You have to love what you're doing. Oh, I don't know what I love. I get it. When I left my other business, I did not know what I was going to do, and I did not want to go down in lifestyle. I didn't want to have to worry about money, but I couldn't keep doing that. I was going to go bankrupt. I was going to take the business bankrupt. I was taking the business bankrupt. I didn't love it. And I earn more money now than I did when I had that business. I love what I'm doing. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and do the mantra. It's very simple. And you saw the video yesterday about mission. It's on our YouTube channel. I think in both languages, in English and Spanish. Okay. Thank you for joining me. We will see you tomorrow.